Hey everybody, Ketwolski here, checking in with another one of our hashtag Earl Grey Pour Up video discussions. Today, of course, we're going to be covering a number of various news topics in relation to the Star Trek franchise, covering the post-merger thing with Paramount Plus. We've got some information about the Star Trek Discovery Season 4, and we're going to talk a little bit about the new podcast that came out, the Pod Directive. Let's pour it up! Okay, so one of the first stories I want to go ahead and get into really quickly, which is just another bit of evidence in relations to the upcoming, I'm sure, announcement of Star Trek Discovery Season 4. So there's kind of two things. Both of them are centered around Wilson Cruz, the actor who plays Dr. Hugh Culber. Now, he originally set up this Instagram post that said, every day working out, getting pumped, getting ready for Star Trek Discovery Season 4, and then Trek Movie went and made an article about it covering up that Instagram post, which was then later deleted immediately, and they kind of hoped that nobody saw that, and then Wilson Cruz kind of edited his Instagram post to remove the reference to Star Trek Discovery Season 4. However, the internet is eternal, and it remembers all, so if you just simply Google the post and it actually comes up with the history of the actual post that he put up on Instagram, you can clearly see the original kind of caption that he put on it. It's clearly listed right there. And of course, if you use the Wayback Machine, it's very easy to find the original article that was over on Trek Movie that covers the topic as well. Now, why they deleted it, clearly they were probably told, this is my speculation, but clearly they were probably told by somebody at CBS to take that bad boy down, or potentially after Cruz removed his original caption, they realized, oh man, maybe we shouldn't have done this, so they took their article down in conjunction with that. I don't know, bit of speculation on my part, but clearly they put that out there. They were kind of hoping for maybe that would motivate CBS, I guess, to kind of announce it officially, but then they kind of all took it down. So this is just one bit of information in a long-running list of things that we're definitely covering here on this channel. I got quite a few videos on it that really just adds to more fuel to the fire that Star Trek Discovery Season 4 is not only going to happen, it is happening. They're already doing prep work for it. I mean, Alex Kurtzman has literally said that they're writing scripts for it, and that several of the scripts have already begun to crack, and they're going to build the story out as they kind of talked about during Star Trek Day as well, very vaguely, and in different interviews and stuff like that. But I think they're still waiting to announce the fourth season of Discovery, probably for New York Comic Con, which Star Trek just announced that they were going to be at the New York Comic Con panel up in October. They may be waiting until then, which is kind of right around when the third season of Discovery is going to be popping off. So again, CBS kind of keeps those things kind of all in conjunction with each other. They usually try to announce that new season thing in relations to the current season airing. They do this a lot with Discovery with Picard. They went ahead and did it with them as well. Lower Decks got the 2 seasons right off the bat, so I'm not quite sure when they're going to announce the third or fourth seasons, if we're getting those, which I think we are for that show. But yeah, for the live action stuff, they seem to kind of announce it around that point. So it does make sense they may be saving it for the New York Comic Con convention to kind of just punch that information out there and kind of just say, hey, we are making a fourth season of Discovery. So speaking about the future of Star Trek, such as the fourth season of Discovery and second season of Picard and Strange New Worlds and all that stuff like that, Paramount, Viacom CBS, Paramount, CBS, all those companies kind of merged earlier this year. Some of you guys may remember I did cover that story quite a bit. This was a big news item because it put the movie franchise situation and the television franchise situation kind of back under one roof so they could stop kind of fighting over who gets what and when and where and who's paying for what. And now they're all back under one roof. And during that announcement, it was said that they were going to be looking at rebranding CBS All Access into some kind of global streaming service that had all of the Paramount and CBS content shoved in there together and pumped out for the mass viewing audience. And we finally just got the official word as to what they're going to call that. They're going to call it Paramount Plus. Yay! What a genius idea. Yes, I am shitting on the name. Paramount Plus is like the most obvious name they could have went with. They could have just called it CBS Plus while they were at it. But whatever, everyone's going with the plus now or the extra or the whatever it is. It's not that big of a deal. But yes, Paramount Plus is going to be a global streaming service. It's coming in 2021. And it is clearly stated that Star Trek shows are going to be aired on this platform, and CBS All Access is going to be folded into that. So on there, you're going to be getting MTV, you're going to be getting Comedy Central, you're going to be getting Nickelodeon, you're going to be getting CBS stuff, you're going to be getting Paramount movies. All that stuff is going to be kind of funneled into this Paramount Plus construct and then pumped out globally. Now, This may be what that potentially Lower Decks is now waiting on, because they had a lot of issues getting the international distribution rights established before the new rushed timeline for that show to come out because of the whole COVID thing. So they may be waiting until this comes out in 2021 to kind of release it through that way. I'm not quite sure. That would make the most sense, but we'll see. But ultimately, it does appear as though, because the deal with Netflix is now coming to a close with Star Trek Discovery, that Discovery is going to be put onto this new streaming platform. Strange New Worlds is already confirmed to be putting onto this new platform. And I don't quite know exactly what's going on with Amazon and Picard. They may be working it so that they're still releasing it through the Amazon Prime account, and then you can get access to it through their portal. Because remember, Amazon's a little bit weird because you can access other streaming platforms through your Prime account when you log in. So how they're going to work that construct is a little bit, I don't know, kind of a bit of question mark at this point. If you're going to be able to get to it through just a Prime account, or if you're going to need a Prime account and this Paramount Plus account, or just the Paramount Plus account, it's definitely not clear just yet. I'm sure they're still kind of working all those details out, but it does seem as though moving into the future that the ability for the international audience to get Star Trek in the same way that the US and Canada audiences is going to be much more streamlined and easier, which is great news. This is fantastic news. I think it's a long time coming. I think that the international audience has been kind of getting sidelined in a lot of ways for various different reasons. It's not just CBS just failing to accurately get this stuff together. There's a lot of issues there. These things are extraordinarily complex, and there's no way that you or I, who are outside entities, anybody that's an outside entity, any YouTuber or article writer or journalist that's outside of these internal discussions, we have no idea how complex these things are. There's a lot of moving parts there that we are completely unaware of. So hopefully this will alleviate those issues in the future so that we can stop kind of worrying about when it's going to be released for international release or whatever, this, that, and the third. It still appears as though Star Trek Discovery Season 3 will be on Netflix internationally, but after that, it does look like it's going to be moved over to this Paramount Plus situation. And from what I can tell, the Crave and CTV Sci-Fi Channel stuff is still going to stay the same in Canada, so I don't think that's going to change at all. But from internal to the United States, it does also look like CBS All Access is going to be going away, and it'll be folded into the Paramount Plus. And how your subscription for CBS All Access is going to get cut over, that part isn't really super clear either at this point, if there's going to be necessarily a price jump or a price drop down, or if you're going to be considered a legacy member, or however that's going to work. It's not really clear just yet. I assume we're going to get more details as we get closer to the actual cutover date from Paramount Plus into CBS, from Paramount to Paramount Plus from CBS All Access. So keep on the lookout for that. I'll obviously do my best to kind of make sure that information gets passed off to all of you, because even though this is kind of corporate streaming nonsense, it does directly impact our ability to view Star Trek, and it does have an impact on Star Trek's future. So I think that's why it's important to cover these kinds of topics. So talking about Paramount Plus and Paramount in general, we did also get word from Noah Hawley just recently in an interview doing the rounds for a different product that he's kind of working on right now in regards to his Star Trek film that was put on the icebox, as it's called, at Paramount. And apparently, you never know, we got a lot of different information. It was going to be Kelvin, then it wasn't going to be Kelvin related, then it was going to be kind of Kelvin, but kind of not. He flat out said just recently in an interview that it had nothing to do with Kirk or Picard or really anybody. It didn't have to do with any of those characters. It was going to be a completely unique kind of construct. That was the story that he was working on. That was the story that was pitched. And yes, it did have to do with a virus that was wiping out massive people within the quadrant, which is part of the reasons why they kind of scrapped the idea, but I don't think that that's one of the only reasons. To say that that's the only reason, and that's the only reason they put it on ice is because it had to do with a virus and COVID-19 and it would have bad look. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, but of course that's not the only reason. The Star Trek brand is definitely doing some major movements right now. There's a lot of television shows in production. Obviously, they were asking Noah Hawley to kind of take the reins on this, movie stuff, but clearly they're still in the process of figuring out what they want to do. And I think in a lot of ways, they may be looking at what's going on with Star Wars, where things kind of are being done haphazardly in a lot of ways. And that whole story just broke about how apparently the whole sequel trilogy supposedly didn't actually have a full plan, and then it did, and then it didn't, and then now it didn't again, and it's all over the place. So they may be kind of taking some lessons learned from that franchise and being like, we need to pump the brakes a little bit to make sure that what we're doing on the television front and what we're doing on the movie front actually has a solid plan moving forward. And I think they're really taking the reins. I think Star Trek Day was a good success, and it was a very well done event, and it was very popular online. People really enjoyed it. And I think the global franchise group is really starting to take the reins the way that they should be, and especially now that they have access to both the movies and the television stuff, and now they're going to have this single streaming device, and everyone's going to be kind of geared in and dialed in and focused on the way Star Trek should be moving forward in the future. It actually makes sense that they put this thing on hold and that they're going to try to hopefully kind of get some ideas together as to what they should be doing moving forward into the future. So it's smart that they did that. I'm glad that they did that. Obviously, I want them to get it right. So hopefully whatever plan they come up with is going to be able to return Star Trek either to the big screen, which they may do, or they may give us some direct-to-streaming movies, which is maybe what they're waiting for with this Paramount Plus thing. I don't know what the future holds, but I'm glad at least somebody down there is like, we should probably pump the brakes before we make a $200 and $300 million embarrassment mistake, and people are like, what the hell were you guys doing? This doesn't make any sense. It doesn't connect to anything that we're doing before. So I'm glad somebody up there is like, maybe we should hold off on this. So I'm curious to see how it kind of moves forward in the future. And one final news story I do want to cover is the official Star Trek podcast, which is called the Pod Directive, is officially out. They had their very first episode just the other day, which featured kind of a guest that I would not have expected, which is Ben Stiller, the actor and the director and the producer, Ben Stiller, who has not been, shy about his obsession with Star Trek memorabilia and Star Trek, props and just Star Trek in general. So they brought him on for a very interesting interview. I'm not big personally on podcasts, even though I go on podcasts quite a bit. I don't listen to a lot of podcasts, but of course I did listen to this because I was curious to see what the format was going to be like and what the production style was going to be. And it was very interesting to, interview. I thought the format was fine, standard podcast kind of format. I thought it was really well done in terms of its production quality. But it was an interesting guest. Somebody that I wouldn't have expected. I figured they were going to bring on Anson Mount or something like that, or Sneaker Martin Green, just to kind of, get the Star Trek alums on there. But they brought on somebody that was a little bit kind of out of the box. So I thought that was interesting, and I'm curious to see how they continue to produce this in the future. And I hope that you guys and gals go and listen to it and support it and kind of get invested as to what's going on there. I think it's good for us to kind of be able to, us as fans, to show either support against these kinds of things or tell people kind of like, okay, you're doing this, but can you do this more? Or can you bring this guest on or whatever it is? I think it's stuff that they'll listen to us about. So if you do have the opportunity to kind of listen to the podcast, do that, and then hit up Star Trek on Twitter and let them know what you thought. And, I think, kind of provide some constructive feedback and maybe give them ideas about who they should bring on next. I think that would be kind of fun. So definitely check it out. There's a link down below in the description for you guys to go and listen to it. You don't have to have an Apple account or an iTunes account. You can listen to it over on Spotify, and they did release some clips of it on YouTube as well if you want to listen to it there. All right, guys and gals, that does wrap up our story for today. I know that's a whole lot of little itty bits of news there, so I just wanted to kind of get these stories kind of out towards you. Obviously, we're going to be covering the New York Comic-Con convention when it comes out in just a couple of weeks. And of course, we are dealing with the end of Lower Decks. We only have a few episodes left, and then we're going to be diving right into Star Trek Discovery. My review of the most recent episode of Lower Decks is going to be coming here out shortly. I just wanted to get this video done first, but yeah, keep an eye out for that as well. I do have that one coming up that I want to go ahead and talk to you guys and gals about. But what did you think about all this news? What do you think about what's going on with the announcement of New York Comic-Con and the Paramount Plus thing? Are you excited that they're actually doing that? Do you think this is a good thing, a bad thing? I'm curious to hear what you guys and gals think about that. And what do you think about the Wilson Cruz post? I'm pretty confident that we're going to be getting this announcement here soon about Star Trek Discovery Season 4. But did the Wilson Cruz thing kind of push you over the edge that you were kind of holding on to? Maybe that wasn't going to happen. I'm curious to hear what you guys think about that. Get your comments up down below. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to throw up a like and a subscribe on it so you can stay up to date with all of the latest Star Trek news and latest Star Trek episode reviews coming out for the franchise. And like I say, always get your stuff up down below. Let's go ahead and get the conversation started. Live long and prosper, my Trekkies!